Happy holidays and welcome to Exhale. I'm your host, Karen Vaughn. We are back at it. Haven't seen you since the summer, but did not want the year to end or the holidays go by without touching base, seeing how you're doing, and just giving us some tools to get through the holidays. So we're talking about that because right now we are in the holiday season and it's time to protect our peace and find our joy. The holiday time can just be so crazy with, trying to wrap things up at work because you're preparing the others to go on PTO, family dinners, family gatherings, the holiday functions, and it can just all be surreal and taking over your time and then dealing with any stressors that are related to the holidays. So we're just going to be real about that and knowing that the holiday time is definitely a beautiful time, right? But it can also leave us feeling drained, stretched way too thin, and sometimes even feeling overwhelmed with grief or unmet expectations. So today we're calling it Holiday Energy Detox. We're going to detox all the bad things and fill our cups with what we need, all right? We'll talk about how to identify the sneaky little things that rob us of our energy and how to replace them with moments that recharge us. I'm so here for this. So to help us through this conversation, as always, I have our amazing guest, therapist, Dr. Sigrid Elston. Welcome back to the show, and how you feeling?
I'm feeling good. Thank you for having me back
Awesome.
here and being able to shed some light on how we can take care of ourselves during this time.
Yes. So I tell you, I'm excited about the holidays. I really was in the beginning. I was really feeling the holiday joy, and all of a sudden it just it just fell flat.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, what is it? Still trying to identify that, but we know that there's some sneaky little energy drainers during the holidays that we may not even realize, people pleasing, over committing ourselves, and sometimes we just want our schedule to be full so then we don't have to sit alone in whatever our aloneness is because it's too tough, and just trying to be perfect. You want the perfect tablescape, the perfect tree, the perfect everything, the perfect family photo with the pajamas and all of that. I went yesterday trying to find pajamas and I was way too late, but maybe I'll find them. But next year I'll just leave it to that. But how can we catch ourselves before it's too late?
Well, I think being able to plan, one is budget, because we know how much that comes up. Commercials, the pictures on social media, folks who are doing the matching PJs and things like that. That starts to get in your head. You're like, oh, I should try this year, or I should try that, or I should decorate or add this in. So you don't realize how much the money is kind of totaling up, and you haven't spent one gift yet. And so, I think that's one of the things too. Okay, what decorations do I have? Do I need to stay with that? Is this the time to switch up everything or just some things? I think that's one of the sneaky things that starts to kind of seep into your head about making some changes, and it costs, so that's one thing. I think that, being aware of our time, so budgeting, not just the money, but also budgeting your time. And so once you have your time off and you say, okay, I declare these are the days that I'm going to take off, you do find yourself spending so much of it, if it's wrapping gifts, sending cards out at the last minute, trying to get this or that done, thinking about planning for meals or different events. Scheduling your time. What can I attend and what can I not attend? So we'll go into some of those later on. But the main things are the budget and the time. And inside of that is your self-care time.
Yeah, definitely the self-care time. Because many times we don't take time for that. And then it's the day before Christmas or after Christmas or even during Christmas. There are plenty of times where my mom was in the bed all day long,
I love it.
right? Because she is so tired from building up to the holiday that the holiday she just slept.
Yeah, just crash.
And she couldn't get up. There was no breakfast. I had to go upstairs with my grandmother. She was like, I'm sleeping today, and I am not mad at that whatsoever.
And you might not have been able to understand why.
Yep. So what are some of the ways, because we talked about the busyness of it all, what are some simple ways to protect your energy in busy spaces? Family gatherings, shopping, providing, for your family, hosting. What are your thoughts on that?
I think with all the different holiday events and gatherings that have popped up, that's probably stood out in my head quite a bit. A starting point is think about what all is on your schedule, because I think we overcommit too many different events and we need to make it all because we have this position or this role. And so being able to say, okay, does this make sense? What time of day is this? Am I going to be on two totally different sides of town at two different times of the day? Is this close by? Am I just tired? And I can't do it. You know, and so I think that's one of the main things is the whole overcommitting, because you're trying to make at least 2 or 3 different events in one day, and that may be just Friday night. We're not even to Saturday, not even to Sunday. And so even if we know that these events come up, even if we know that every year the such and such organization has to have this social and then this one and that event and whatever, you can know that it comes up every year, but your body might not be okay with it coming every year.
Yeah.
And so being able to be okay. One thing I would add to that is RSVPing quickly. You know, when you see it and you're like, oh, I don't know if I really want to go, listen to that. Listen to that. You might not want to go, and you might not need to go, but maybe you can stay for about 57, 58, 9 minutes, you know, shorten your time.
Yes.
That you're going to be there. But I think being mindful of, like, how long you're going to stay. Where is it? Who is it for? Not so much will I be missed, but is it going to add to my life? You know, is it going to bring something to me or some type of joy to someone else?
You know, especially if
That's
you
another
like
thing.
socializing during the holidays, and you have different social circles, because all the holiday parties are popping up, especially with like the Sis-giving, the Friendsgiving, all the holiday events now that are in our friends' social circle. Because at one time, when you thought about the holidays, it was really focused on family. We weren't working through it, right? Now, you know, with the way life is, especially virtual, you could work up to moments beforehand, right? So you have your friend social circle, your family social circle, your work social circle, and there are events throughout all of them, along with, again, your quality time for yourself. So just being able to pull that together, that's like 3 different calendars alone, before even creating a calendar for yourself.
Right, exactly. And a close, good, loved one of mine shared with me, oh, that's too much in 1 week. And I was like, oh, that was a good point. I don't have to go to that. And I think that you might know who that someone is because it was you. and I was like, you know what? I really don't have to do everything. And our feelings going to be hurt because you're not there. I mean, maybe, but not too much. It's too much of the joy going on in this time of year, you know?
Yeah.
And so I think, like, that's one of the main areas is the time. You know, another area that I would add to that is checking in on where you are emotionally and mentally because of the holidays. I think a lot of people deal with the holidays looking different. And so you're used to them being a certain way. The songs that come on the radio, they bring about certain memories. And depending on what mood you're in or what time of day it is, it might be something more kind of upbeat and Santa Claus is coming to town. And that might have you up in a particular way. But something else might remind you of your grandmother who's no longer here. And so I think that we have a lot of individuals who are reminiscing or sad about who's not here anymore. You know, joyful about what's to come. And I think I was actually talking to my sister recently about it, the very same topic. And she said, yeah, you know how the older folks would say, just live long enough. The holidays aren't always joyful for everybody.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, how? You know, we're getting gifts and families come together and that type of thing. And then when you start seeing your family shrink, and your larger
the elders are no longer there.
And you
You're
realize
the elder.
Exactly. You realize you're the elder. You're like, oh, Lord, I didn't know I was taking this on. It can stir up a lot of different feelings. And so I think that there's a need to kind of check in, if it's not every day, at least a few different times of the week while you're in that kind of thick of the holiday spirit, to kind of say, okay, how am I doing? What am I feeling right now? Am I okay? You know that Aunt so-and-so would normally make blah, blah, blah. Do you want to make that, or do you want to pivot and do something different? I think what's important are traditions. Thinking about certain traditions that used to bring you joy. Can you kind of bring them back in some way and even revise them a little bit? If someone really made the best this or that, you know, cake or something like that. Maybe we want to bring in something new, not something over the top or extra that's going to be stressful, but maybe something, you know, that's fun. And I think that's the hard part, along with the time change. You know, a lot of folks dealing with seasonal affective disorder, and it's tough that it happens at this time because people kind of going through a few different emotions. We love to see a lot of us love to see the Christmas lights and things like that, but it gets darker earlier, and so you really are pushing hard against the lack of vitamin D, lack of sunlight, and so in the midst of that, but we need to be on because it's a time that we're supposed to be cheerful and celebrating.
Yeah.
That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, it is. And I'm just thinking through what you said about, honoring those that are no longer here and dealing with your grief and understanding it because, I lost my dad almost 2 years ago. And last Christmas, I felt myself overscheduling myself, working to the last minute, going to every event I could. And now I'm realizing it's because I didn't want to think about it. And now that it's sitting with me, I put up the Christmas tree. Well, my husband put up the Christmas tree. It was nice. And I just have taken myself out of that to where I just can't even think about doing that right now. But I don't like the space. I want to be happy, right? I want to enjoy the season. And I was up to a moment, and then it was just like, it's not feeling right. It's not feeling right because I'm understanding what I'm feeling and working through that. But I loved what you said about honoring them through traditions to bring joy, right? It is that sweet potato pie. My mom is in Connecticut. She's not coming, but that's what my son loves, right? So I have to figure out how to make Grandma Jackie's sweet potato pie so he can enjoy, right, a Christmas tradition.
Right. You don't want what you're dealing with to intrude upon his joy.
Right, exactly. So I love the finding ways to honor your loved ones that are no longer here through the traditions that you can make more modern for yourself. Right? My dad and I, we used to put the Christmas tree every single year. So I know why it triggered where I didn't want to, but I'm going to find a way. There's a few decorations, but I'm going to pull some out the box and figure that out. But I know I'm not the only one feeling that way. So how can you, during this season of joy, right, understand and feel, and I don't even know if the words are worked through, but your feelings of loneliness, disconnection, and many are even isolating themselves.
But I'm glad you asked that because that's a great point as far as it either kind of coming on you and you're like, wait a minute, where'd that come from? Because it can come at random times. Or you recognize, okay, why am I having such a hard time? Is it because I'm tired? Am I really that tired? Yes, I probably am. But also there is a longing and a sadness that's equated, with the decorating of the tree because that's what we did. And so I think, some people might feel like this is weird to do, but it's important to write a letter. Maybe write a letter to your daddy, and tell him like, you know what, I miss you. I'm hurting right now. And so a big part of that is whether you do it on your phone, whether you write it down, whether it's a mental letter, you're acknowledging your feelings instead of busying yourself to kind of push through because they're going to come. They're going to come whether you like it or not, whether you plan for it or not. So why not set aside some time to kind of say, you know what, I need to kind of deal with some things right now. Write it out and give yourself a time frame, how long you're going to do it, or how many words you're going to use, or how many sentences you're going to use to say, you know what, Daddy, I really, really miss you, and I can't believe that you're not here with me, and it was at this time or this season or close around this season also, because I had the same one right after the new year. And then pause. So if it's a certain time limit as far as how long you're going to spend on that part or how many sentences you're going to write on that, then shift to like, what am I thankful for? What's the joy? What did you bring me? What did you teach me? And bring me not just tangible, but bring to me through my son, through my children or certain values so that you can shift that energy into what he would want, what my daddy would want, what many of our loved ones who are no longer here would want for us is to feel joy and not feel like it's completely robbed. Because we do feel like our lives ended, because it's like, how do I still live and the world's still going on, light's still coming on, sun's still coming up, and you're not in it? Because my existence, after our supreme being came from you. And so you're like, how am I still breathing breath right now? It doesn't even make sense, right? You feel like that very heavily during it, and after it, 10 years, 20 years, almost 30 years for us. And I think it's important to give yourself that that time, because it can be that random moment with all your family there, you're cooking, and it come down on you, and you find yourself needing to remove yourself or putting on the phony smile. That can exhaust you even more.
No, that's good.
So give yourself some time to sit with it.
So how can friends and family help a family member, a close friend, knowing that they've had an incredible loss and it's the holiday season, not necessarily bringing it up or how are you feeling, are you okay? Because we already know the answers to those questions, right?
Yeah.
But how could you support them through that? Because it's hard to bring up or hard to talk about, but how can one support them?
Yeah, I think the check-in, the check-in. And so even if we're trying to be careful about what to say and what not to say, hey girl, I know it's cold. You want to go for a walk? You want to go to maybe not the mall, but maybe walk around Walgreens. I did that with one of my girlfriends the other day. Girl, let's walk around CVS because this restaurant's about to close. Let's just, walk and talk, get some steps in at the same time. So even if it's like you want to just grab something to eat real quick or some tea or some coffee or something, just want to check in with you just for a few minutes. Girl, there's this movie I want to go see. But checking in, even if you're not talking about it and bringing it up, but just to make sure you're kind of taking them out. Yeah, spending that time. It's that quality time. Might not want a lot of it, might not have a lot of time for it, you or the other person. But to check in and see if you can kind of pull them out just for a little bit and making sure you let them know I'm not trying to take you away for hours and hours and hours because I know the schedule can be busy. But I think that's the best thing to do. And if you're closer with someone, asking and kind of saying, hey, I was thinking about Aunt so-and-so or Uncle Alfonso. I was thinking, how are you doing?
Yeah.
Okay? And just coming out. When you love somebody, be okay. Be okay with loving them and just asking them and calling it out. I'm thinking about him too, So just want to see how you're doing. And go ahead and just step on out there because they're probably trying to hold it in because they don't know how they're going to respond or how the release is going to be if they sit with it. And they don't want to impact anybody else. So what we do, we keep holding it in, stuffing it in. And then at the worst time, but it's the right time, it comes out.
Yeah, we hold a lot in.
We do.
Right? And then we just build upon that, right? And over-obligating ourselves to the point where we say yes to everything. It's like, yes, I can do that. Yes, sure, no problem. Yes, because we put on our superwoman cape. And we really do during the holidays.
We definitely do.
So how can we as women replace that mindfulness of saying yes to everyone else to say yes to ourselves?
Yes to ourselves. So good place to start is figure out when is it going to be during the day you're going to do that check-in. When have I given to myself today? So if I've done community service, I called to check on so-and-so, I made so-and-so breakfast, I dropped off holiday cards, Christmas cards, or did this. Okay, when was my time just for me? And so how we say yes to ourselves is to separate out all the different little duties. So we say, okay, I'm going to have some downtime. I'm just going to wrap gifts and watch this movie together. Well, you're wrapping gifts. And you're under a time, you got a time constraint, so you're trying to do this at the same time. And so it might be, okay, that'll help the time go by. But if there are gifts that someone else can help you wrap, then do that. Ask them, teach them, how to do it. Last night, we're doing Christmas cards, and usually I like to do it myself just because I can get my system down, I can get it done. But then I'm like, oh, Lord, I did all those cards. Oh, my goodness, about 120, 150 cards. And so my husband said, you know what, if you need some help, let me know. And I was like, And so so then later on, daughter's like, she'll help. And I'm like, oh, Lord. She said, oh, he's helping too. And I said, you know what, we're doing a family thing.
It's a family thing.
And so we had an assembly line out. I stamped. And somebody did the stuffing, somebody did this, somebody did that. And I was like, you know what? It might have been a little longer process. I might have had to direct folks, as far as what to do and the way I want it done.
Yes.
But it was a way for us to talk. It was a way for us to think about, oh my goodness, you sent a card to so-and-so. Haven't really talked to them a while. We need to check in with them. Don't they have a baby? So it stirred up a lot of conversation. Even my son, you just went through this with graduation.
Yeah.
My son said, because he was at an event at school, and I said, oh, he can put the stamps on it. He won't be too tired to do that. He can do that. I know he has finals, but he will have a role too. And so he said, wow, how do y'all know all these people? oh, we worked it from our wedding list 20 years ago, and this is going to be the same list that you'll be using for graduation. And so it just stirred up a lot of conversation about who we know, why we do this, why it's important for family to stay connected and to be up to date on what's going on in your lives. And so something that would have been my task and my task only, and has been for many, many, many years, I was able to let go. So how do we let go and say someone else can do this, someone else can do that? I don't have to have the perfect meal with all of these pieces, and I don't have to have this perfect decorative, home to showcase in my pictures on social media.
Like it's Hallmark.
Like it's Hallmark, Mr. Hallmark in the Hallmark movies got plenty of money to make all of that glitz and glamour, and the Target commercials, they get jazzier each year. I have to do all that to enjoy it. And so I think it's how do we kind of guard our time, but not be so pressed to fill up our time. You mentioned your mama in the nap, and she's just spent. She has nothing left, and she sleeps on it. Be intentional and take one. Be intentional and take one, because what happens is you come back to work after the PTO and the supposed downtime and realize that you're tired, you're exhausted. You might not have hosted anybody, but you went to events, you did gifts, you cooked, all these different things, or however it looked, or you might have been grieving, And so did you take a moment to say, you know what, I can take a nap because it's 10 a.m., it's 2 p.m., and I don't have any place to be.
But here.
In my house.
Yes.
And other folks can help me stuff, envelopes. Other folks can help me wrap other people's gifts. And so do we take even that time to say, you know what, I'm going to take a nap, or I'm just going to watch something, not while I'm doing something else. Christmas related.
Yeah.
That's the key part.
So what do you do for yourself around the holidays? How do you relax, relate, release, and discharge?
You know me well enough to know I love me some music. And there's a point where the holiday music, if I hear, no offense, Mariah, but if I hear it one more time, I think, okay, I have to step away. I say, okay, this is enough. Okay, we're going to give you about 3 or 4 songs, and then we got to get back to something that's like not Christmas related at all. I was listening to some Full Force this morning when I was getting ready.
Okay.
I took it back.
That's good energy.
I Want You Just For Me. Yes, I did.
Yeah.
And so I needed to shift to some music that was not related to Christmas at all. But it did remind me of when I lived in Jersey. It did remind me of us going into New York, and my family was together, and it was a happy time. Visiting family and things like that. And so it was a connection, but it wasn't Christmas music. But the dance parties, and we'll come to that later on, but the dance parties, the music, all those different pieces that, kind of shift you away from being so deep into, the commercialism, and that type of thing. I make sure in the morning I do a little check-in, like, okay, God, thank you for waking me up. Waking me up this day to get through another day, and not just get through like it's a chore, but to do whatever it is that you will have me do, that I need to do, what you want me to do, but also taking care of myself. So another piece is the exercise. I didn't get a chance to do it this morning. I don't know why. I was Christmas card dropping off at the postal service.
See, now you know why.
Yeah, that's exactly why. And so I'm like, but I will before I go to sleep. Not because it's an obsession, but it is the thing that I feel like I did for myself. And it wasn't related to wrapping gifts, buying gifts, or something like that, or spending money.
Spending money for someone else.
Yeah, for somebody else.
Yes.
It's also taking care of my health, which can decrease doctor's bills, hopefully. But yeah, that's what I do.
All right, cool, perfect. A little self-care goes a long way.
Can.
So what are some of the things the ladies can do when they have created their downtime?
Okay.
There's no more stuffing cards. There's no more wrapping gifts. There's no more cooking. I'm here and I'm doing nothing. What can I do? What are some rituals?
Some rituals. Some are, I talk about journaling, all the time, but write a letter to Santa. Join in the fun. I saw our little mailbox here.
Yes.
Join in the fun that it's not just for kids. You can write your letter early. But write a letter to Santa, just kind of saying, what you love about this time of year, or certain things that you want, even if it's something to get for yourself. So that's going to be my point 2 along with that. We do a lot of shopping and thinking about everybody else. But somewhere in there, we can gift ourselves. Doesn't have to be big, can be small, but make some room in that budget for you to gift yourself, for just kind of congratulate yourself for making it through. So that's something to start looking up, like, I'd like to have this. Well, that's something I might want to get sometime next year or sometime soon. Planning a trip. planning a vacation, planning a trip, so you have something to look forward to that kind of takes you away from the busyness, of every day. But writing, journaling, taking up some exercise, some yoga, those are the things that we hear about all the time. But being okay, not busying yourself.
Being okay, that is so vital.
Yes.
Because busy equals work equals doing something, right? Non-busy is as if you're a slacker.
Slacker, lazy.
Right. You're lazy.
You're bummed.
You're not doing anything. The words hustle and grind. We got to get through the struggle.
Yeah.
How about just doing nothing and being okay with it?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's okay. So just filling up that time with not busying ourselves for the sake of just being busy.
Look, I'm going to give you another one. A phone-free day.
Oh, very nice.
How about
very
that?
Nice. How does that work?
A phone-free day. So you can, we did practice. We did practice, but not when I call you, though. You call me.
Answer.
Okay. But the phone-free day, and, you don't realize how much you're communicating in this process, even if it's putting the Christmas cards together. That is preparation, a form of communicating, even though you're not talking to that person. It takes something out of you to make sure you didn't miss anybody, an auntie who don't get upset, the address is right, somebody that moved, all those different things. That's a form of communicating. You are also scheduling appointments, trying to get doctor's appointments in, maybe, or different, maybe some type of home care appointment. You're doing that. You're having people come into your house to get service done because this is the time that you and some other family members are going to be home for a while. You don't realize how much more you're communicating during the holidays, not just with family and friends, but managing business that you don't normally get a chance to do during the year, during the week. So, so the phone-free day, you can make it a decision that you're going to put it on Do Not Disturb, that you're only going to check it a certain number of times a day, or no phone calls. I ain't calling nobody today. Or if somebody calls me, no love lost, but I'm not going to answer it. If they want me, there are other individuals who have phones, they will get to me. They can email, something like that. Or I'm not going to text anybody today. I'm not going to get on social media today. But a phone-free day, you can define it how you want to, but making some kind of detachment from it and know that everybody's going to be all right. If there's an emergency, you will be reached. There will be a way to reach you. But I think we got to pay attention to how much we are not just glued to our phones and social media sense, but how much more it's taking out of us because we are busier going to these different holiday events.
Yeah.
And these deadlines of trying to get and pick up stuff before Christmas.
Your routine is different.
It's very different. Yeah, it is very, very different. I will add to that having somewhat of a routine. You know how when you're on vacation and then you get back to work, you're like, ooh, I was used to waking up naturally at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock and not being up at 7 o'clock. It's a beautiful thing. Taking my shower when I want to, or going downstairs and watching this. Staying in PJs,
keeping it cozy.
All day, and it's okay, keeping it cozy, and you lounge around, do what you want. See, you think about it, aren't you?
I am.
Okay. And that's the thing. And then you get back to work and you're like, well, I wish it was last Tuesday. And it is not. And so that's why you got to be present with it and not doing 20 million things, wrapping, decorating, things like that, or you won't realize that you had that downtime.
Okay.
So you need to do that so that you can say, okay, that next vacation, that next break that I take, even if it's a day or a couple days, I'm going to make sure I put at least 1 or 2 days in there where I absolutely do not one thing.
Okay. We receive that.
Okay. And we're going to practice that.
Matter of fact, we're going to start right now.
Right now.
To everybody that listened to this podcast, the Holiday Energy Detox.
Yes.
Some key ways just to detox it all so you can truly enjoy the holidays on your terms. The key word is you.
It's you.
It's you.
Right.
I love it.
Right.
So we're going to get started right now.
I'm with it. And we will hold each other accountable.
We will. I know. If anything that Dr. Sigrid Elston is going to do, she will hold you accountable. You will get that text. So how are we doing?
Best believe.
Ooh. Not the right answer, but the real answer.
Right. That is true. And that's what we want is honesty. And that's what you
Yes.
want for the people you love.
Yeah, absolutely. So call someone that you love, talk to them about this episode and how you can recharge with your own rituals, create new traditions for your family, and just scheduling your time and your budget to where you'll be successful this holiday season. Wishing you all a very Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, and the New Year, all right? And just always remember, when you're going through it, exhale and be well. Happy holidays, everybody.